For my internal assessment, I made a tic-tac-toe framework. So the UI is really simple. It's a 3x3 grid of buttons. When you click it, you place your mark, and then you give the other player a chance to play. So the AI I wrote to accompany this framework is fairly simple. When you play a piece, it reads the board and then it tries to find the best move. Right now it knows about direct attacks where you have two lined up and then it tries to block. It'll always go for the center if it's available as a defensive move. If I wanted to write an AI that would win more often, it may be more beneficial to write one that doesn't take the center but instead makes moves to the side to try and set up doubles. So there they won. If no direct attack is seen, it'll start to move to the corners. So it'll start here, there, try here, and there. This helps somewhat with preventing doubles, but not really. The code for the game is pretty simple. The game runs all the functions for the player, and all the player does is return a move. So here's the random player, which is a really simple example of this. It'll get the spaces from the board object. And the board object is just an array of buttons, and then it has a button called last button, which it uses when the players are trying to move to determine where the player moves. Otherwise, the game determines everything. It'll run updates, it'll check if the board's full, it'll check if it's a valid move, and it'll check if a player's won. Here you can see the spaces are being pulled from the board. The best space is being determined, or the best space is being determined by the random function here, and that's being split into row and column using division and modulo. And then we're returning the board with the proposed row and column. The game will take this, and if it's a valid move, let's go to the update function. If it's a valid move, then it'll play the move and the player's turn, increment the player's movements, and then switch over to the next player. Changing who's playing is fairly simple. You can have two users play each other. One thing that I'd like to do with this game is create a multiplayer object so you can start a server and then it'll have players connect. But here you can see just a player versus player. You can also change it to have AIs play against each other. This would be good if you wanted to train a neural network AI, because you can just create a player called neural network AI and have it play. Here it's playing the same board over and over again. That's just because the random player's pseudo-random number generator will generate more or less the same numbers, and the perfect player will play the same game given the same inputs. If we play a perfect player against a perfect player, they'll play the same game over and over again just because they have a static logic, and they'll tie every time. Playing two random players against each other causes issues because they're both pseudo-random numbers, and for the most part they're the same pseudo-random numbers. So playing them against each other will usually result in no movements actually being made because they'll be trying to call the same board over and over again. To fix this, you'd need to have it return a different, have the game return to the player that that's not a valid function, and either increment by 1 or change the seed value for the random number.